Antoine Winfield is actually a really fun pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I said on my podcast right after, I'm a Bucs fan, and I said on my podcast right after this pick, I said that, if I was in charge of the Bucs, I would do a terrible job because I totally would have drafted Jerry Jeudy and J.K. Dobbins, and then our team would not have been as good because these were the right picks. But sometimes, just as a fan, you want the fun picks. It's maybe not necessarily the most fun pick in terms of like, okay, yeah, obviously a running back is going to sell more jerseys than a safety, but I think Winfield will definitely add more value, without a doubt. And they were able to get a running back in the third round. I'll probably make a video on him as well in the future. But I really like this pick a lot. I think that Winfield is a really good safety, and it's a position of need, so I think that this is kind of just a perfect pick. I mean, he's honestly probably a first-round talent that fell to the second round. Really good value from Tampa Bay. He's kind of that free safety type, but he can definitely play strong safety as well. I feel like he can really play either. I mean, let's be honest, in today's NFL, the difference between a strong safety and a free safety is pretty mute. It's pretty much, you're pretty much going to play both for the most part. I mean, unless you play one of those. Actually, Tampa Bay, they do have a free safety pretty frequently, but just one safety deep. But even so, you're going to switch off a lot. He switched off a lot in Minnesota. Could play either one. I kind of actually like him a little bit better as a free safety who can tackle. I think a lot of people like him better as a strong safety. But we'll start things off with this play where he's going to actually start off as the free safety, but then move over and become the strong safety because of a man in motion. They're just going to switch assignments. What's going to happen is that it's going to be basically an option play where the quarterback could hand the ball off, or he could keep it himself and run up to the top half of the screen, which is actually what's going to happen. Those two Buffalo players, they run out and block those two Minnesota defenders, which now leads the next closest man will be Winfield, who, while he is very far away, he is going to start to move closer in again because of that man in motion. So also there will be man in motion, so there's another person who can block Winfield, so it's not totally an unblocked man. But anyways, after this ball is snapped, you notice Winfield, he does have to be somewhat aware of the guy who over there who could be blocking him, also could be running a route. That's still a possibility at this point. He's still behind the line of scrimmage, so that is something that can happen. So he's kind of in that awkward state of like, you want to make sure that he doesn't throw the ball over you, but you also don't want to let him just run by you. So it's a really tough balance to pull off by Winfield, but notice how he's going to do it. He stays along with the eligible receiver, but then when he finally does cut in, he's able to jump over and make that play. And while typically that's certainly kind of a weird way to make a tackle, he wanted to get high like that to potentially knock away a pass if the quarterback decided to throw it, meaning he pretty much had no option but to just take this, go down at that point. Just a really good play and a really patient play of not getting too antsy too quickly and doing something stupid. He waited until he saw a moment where he could make a play, and then he made a play. That play was a fun play. This play is a downright insane play, where what's going to happen is that it's going to be a trick play. So what Fresno State is going to do is they're going to actually hand the ball off to their halfback, but then he's going to try to throw it to that receiver right over there, and they're going to try to get a touchdown that way, which is already pretty crazy. But also keep in mind the situation. There's 124 left, and Minnesota is up 7. There's only one timeout combined between the two teams. So, basically if Minnesota is able to get the stop here, they win, the ball game's over. If they don't, then they have maybe a minute to try and score a touchdown. But also Fresno State, if they were to get tackled before the touchdown, then they could just, kill 40 seconds and really control the clock. So really getting down to it here. After the ball is snapped, you are going to notice that pretty much everybody, including Winfield right there, he's the one in the box, they all fell for this being a potential running play, which makes sense given the fact that this ball was literally given to the halfback, so you would expect it to be a running play. But now there is a definite opening right here. This can definitely be a potential throw, but it's not as easy as it seems, simply because if you just try to bomb it through, well, then Winfield could leap up and try to knock it away. You kind of do have to fit it through a mailbox, so to speak, and it's a halfback throwing the ball, so you'd rather just kind of really lob it up a little bit, see if you can get it over Winfield that way. That's kind of the idea, what he's going to do here. But watch what happens. Watch how Winfield gets back and is able to make that interception for the game-sealing pick. I mean, that's just absurd. That's just a crazy, ridiculous play. It's just wild. And again, given the situation, I feel like you can't really blame him for getting out of position. I mean, how do you expect the halfback to be throwing the football. That almost never happens. I think it's probably the right call to not be expecting that, but he's still able to come back and make the play. Part of it was because the ball was hung up a little bit longer because of the running back who was throwing the ball as opposed to a quarterback throwing the ball. But at the same time, the only reason Winfield got out of position in general was because the running back was the one who had the ball. So I think really a good play by Winfield. His awareness is definitely something that I think really is fantastic. This is a good example where you're going to see a man go in motion, and Winfield is in charge of covering him, so he's also going to go up to the top half of the screen. That man ends up just basically running out to the flat, and so at this point, the ball actually gets knocked out, and if you look at Winfield, who's over there, I mean, he doesn't really have too much to do. I mean, the ball is very far away. Let's see. It's over, about 13, 12 yards away. Kind of hard to tell because the ball's in the air. It might actually be only like 10 yards away because, angles make it weird. Who really cares? He's far away, and there are a lot of players in between him and the ball. But you know what? Why not hustle? He sees the ball. Why not try to see if you can do something? He does hustle, runs over, and is able to fall on the football and get the recovery. I mean, people always say fumble recoveries, those are mostly luck. That's why all the credit goes to the guy who knocks the ball out. And to a large degree, they are luck. I mean, luck is definitely a part of it. If that ball bounced somewhere else, then Winfield is not going to be able to make that play. But at the same time, there's also a bit of an awareness to it as well. It's definitely not all luck, and Winfield showed it right there. Really, his awareness, his ability to make reads, those are two things that really do factor in and make him a really good safety. This play is an interesting example where it's going to be play action, and then what Illinois is going to do is they're going to have a receiver run over the middle. Again, this is a concept I've explained all the time. You get the linebackers to move in. That way you can throw it over the top of them. So it's what makes play action so successful. And right after the ball is snapped, you're going to notice that Winfield is kind of doing something interesting here. He's crashing in. So he's the one safety who's deep. He's the only guy deep. Nobody else is back there. If he misses this, if he tries to crash in, goes for the ball and misses it, it's a touchdown. So, and keep in mind, they're at their own 9-yard line running this play. So that is a huge risk to be making. But he trusts that he has read this ball well enough that he knows it will not be a completion. It could maybe fall incomplete, but he has an opportunity to get an interception, and he trusts that it is not going to be a completion. And he is right. He is able to get the interception and return it, back to the 12-yard line. And again, that's a risky play, but it really does work out. I mean, if he doesn't get it, it was third down anyways. So if he just knocks the ball away, well, now it's fourth down. They have to punt it back. You're still getting the ball at midfield, but you're basically getting 30 to 40 yards on one play, on one read. And if you make the read right, it's not a risk at all because you're making the read right. So it's not like it's a risky play if you are correct. So it kind of comes down to just, do you trust yourself enough, and how much of a risk is it that you could potentially be reading the play wrong? Well, for him, it's not much of a risk because he doesn't read the play wrong very often. One more play I like is this one, where this is actually going to be a blitz. What's going to happen is that the blocking that you see on the screen, that's because a linebacker is blitzing, so the center will pick up the linebacker, and then both guards just block the defensive lineman like they usually do. But what's interesting is that they're blitzing two people up the middle. Winfield is then going to try to get in between the guard and the right guard and the center. And so it's basically just going to be that he will have a straight shot, but he has to disguise it well enough, because if he just runs too quickly, well, then somebody, maybe the halfback, could recognize it, run over, and make a block. So he is kind of far away, but watch how quickly he is able to run over and make this play. He gets the sack. He just got there very quickly. He's the kind of guy where he's not the biggest guy, but honestly, it's when you watch his tape, it's almost shocking, his measurables. He's only listed at 5'9", 203 pounds. I mean, he plays like he's 6 foot 240. I mean, he plays so big for his height and weight. And I think this is kind of, you heard Bruce Arians talk about how sometimes it's not a good thing to fall in love at the combine, because sometimes guys who maybe run a faster 40 and have bigger measurables might still not play as well. Like Winfield is only 5'9", but he plays as big as someone who's 6'1", so who cares? Who cares what his height actually is? All that matters is what he's going to bring to the table. And to me, this seems like a good value pick. You see this in hockey sometimes, where a smaller guy who's able to score and able to get around guys will still fall because other teams are looking to get sort of bigger guys. And I think that's happening here. I think Winfield is a really high talent that has fallen largely just because of things that are out of his control in terms of his height and weight. Well, I guess his weight's in his control, but 200 pounds isn't that bad for someone who's 5'9". That's fine, but the height is definitely why I think he's fallen a little bit. Also, fun fact: Antoine Winfield, it's Antoine Winfield Jr. and Antoine Winfield Sr. once intercepted Tom Brady, which is now the quarterback that Winfield will be playing on. So definitely very fun. But I think it's a really good pick. I like this pick as a Tampa Bay fan. What do you guys think of it? Let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.